Coming up, and what started off as a week full of promise with two big victories in LA ended in a home defeat to Detroit, where Paolo and Mosley were not on the same page in the post game press conference. So we'll look back at the week that was and have a little sneak peek at what's to come in this week's Orlando Magic Week in Review. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. Got to do the normal YouTube things, like, share, drop a comment below on how you felt the past week went, especially... At least let's look at the positives of the two big victories in LA. But of course, if you want to focus on the last two losses, hey, you just drop that comment down below. And if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. And if you're one that likes your podcast in audio only form, I'm starting to upload all the Orlando Magic Nations on anywhere that you hear those audio podcasts. So let's jump right into it. What I'm normally going to be doing on these Tuesday episodes, now it's going to be kind of a week in review for the week that was, and then also just a quick peek into looking at the upcoming games so we can kind of manage our expectations now, especially with the season that has been. At least this is what I'm doing for myself, so I'm putting it out there to the world to try to manage some expectations, since I went into the season with very, very high expectations, and this is not the way the season has gone at all. So this one I'm going to be going back a little further because I have a video that I posted recently about the Houston Rockets game, so I won't touch that one very much. So I'm going to go back to the two LA games and then maybe talk real quick about that Houston game and then go into the Detroit game so that we can kind of have a better understanding of some of the trends that have happened recently. And I'm going to point out some interesting things that I feel it's starting to come to light with this team, which we're well into the season. Obviously we're at game, I believe 48, 49. I think we're 49, excuse me, 59 that we are at now. So we're coming down the stretch really at this point. So it's a bit odd and a bit frustrating that we're still kind of figuring out the pecking order and we're figuring some things out. But it's around this time of season last year that we inserted Corey Joseph into the starting lineup, and that really started to kind of normalize things a little bit, and it was able to get us at least a more true point guard to kind of help the offense get more organized. That didn't go all that well, obviously. In the end, we were able to finish pretty strong and get to 500, but it's not like that was a massive game changer ultimately. And I don't think we're going to have any game changers this season either. At least maybe when Franz comes back, things might click all into place. But I don't, again, we're trying to manage expectations now. We're not just going to be free and willy-nilly and be like, oh, Franz comes back and everything is going to be roses and we're going to go and win the championship. So we're not going to do that, but we will look at different things that I've seen in the last few games and also kind of talk about what I think we could do to try to either better some of our defense, even though the defense has gotten better. But I think it really will help to configure a bit more our offense as well. So if we take a sneak peek to look back at the games that were. So here is the game against the LA Clippers. So the Magic won that one, 111-109. Mathurin had the shot at the buzzer to win the game. He shot it from three. He ended up missing it. So we limped out of that one with a victory, but it was a hard fought victory. The Magic were without Franz as they have been for most of the season. Also, Jalen wasn't playing in that one either. So we went with a starting lineup of Tristan, Paolo, Wendell, Desmond, and AB. As you just, again, we're not going to go too deep into these because I don't want to make a 2-hour video. But if you look, all 5 starters in double figures, which is something that we typically have. Of course, Wendell would be the one that sometimes was the odd man out, but in those last couple of games on the West Coast, Wendell really played well offensively. And if you just look at the numbers here, the big thing obviously that stuck out, and the interesting thing I feel from this game is, even though AB is there as our starting point guard, let's say, in big air quotes, because that's something that we're making sure that he's not really playing point guard anymore. Just the team just isn't using him that way anymore, especially since he's been with the starters most of the time. He's felt much more like a small forward, playing that role as the what I call the 3/D, and that's kind of all I wanted to do: shoot threes, so get more consistent at three, slash to the basket, so he can dunk the ball through and play good defense. So as you see here, Wendell played better, double double, 14 rebounds. That jumps out when you look at the box score there. But for me, the other thing is Desmond's 36. Of course, Desmond has been. We were hoping he was going to be raising the ceiling of the team, but in the end, he's basically raised the floor of the team. So we are not 4 games under 500 or whatever like we were last year around this time, just because we have Desmond Bane who's playing very, very well. He's getting close to maybe a 50, 40, 90 season. And this game, it just shows what he can do. 13 of 19 from the field, 4 of 6 from three, 6 of 10 from the free throw line. So that is a bit of a surprise. So it almost is like he's going to get close to the 50, 40, and then he might come out of the 90 he hasn't been shooting his free throws as well as of late. So hopefully he's able to rectify that. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals for his 36 points. So as we see, Paolo led the team with 8 assists he had 16 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. So what was happening in that game, and has been pretty much most of the games, and it's something that if you look at the stats, you're like, oh, Paolo, he shot 6 of 16, so not efficient again. 0 of 1 from the free throw, from 3-point line, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. So that's not bad, but all right. 2 turnovers, blah blah blah, -5 in the plus minus. So if you look at the box score, you're gonna, again, which is what a lot of people do online, and that's why you hear so much guff about Paolo, like, oh, Paolo stinks, the Magic are paying too much, all of that. That all sounds great. That's if you're not watching the game. If you're watching the game, you see that Paolo is almost always double teamed. If he's not double teamed, then someone's shading over, so that once he starts to dribble, then there's going to be guys swarming, they're digging, and they're using their length. Normally they have not a point guard next to him. It's normally another big to try to dislodge the ball, try to get the turnovers, which unfortunately Paolo has been turning the ball over a lot this past week. And it's something that the Magic as a team, who had done so well for so long after a rough start with the turnovers, they really are starting to turn the ball over a little too much the past couple of games. So it's a bit unfortunate. But in this one, Paolo only had 2. It's Wendell Carter who had the 5 turnovers, because there's a lot of times where Paolo and Wendell are running like a pick and roll, or if Wendell was over in the corner and he starts to cut to come down the baseline to be able to get a dunk, Paolo's getting him the ball and Wendell's just not been able to catch it. So if there's something that he could work on this offseason, is just working with any college football or NFL a wide receiver, and just put on the gloves and just try to catch balls constantly throughout the offseason. Because yes, your shooting has Wendell's shooting is just fallen off a cliff. That's fine. If he's going to be a center in this league still, he needs to be able to, in the pick and roll, be able to catch all the different types of passes that are coming. And Paolo has been creative in getting him the ball, and just Wendell is not able to catch that. But Paolo is, again, been the initiator, something he doesn't really want to do, right? He's mentioned it a couple times. Paolo doesn't want to be the person that's initiating the offense. He wants to be the hub. So he wants to be the person that will receive the ball, let's say, in the post. So he's not having to be at the at the top of the key and having to be the one to survey everything and then do the passes. Especially again when they're bringing a double, they're always going to be bringing a double, or at least one of the guys are hedging over. Especially because most of our guys haven't been hitting threes well enough, other than Desmond, of course, haven't been hitting threes well enough to keep everybody honest, and they're willing to take the bet that if Paolo passes, that the guys aren't going to be shooting the three as well. Now, that's what it is. So again, that's the thing for me that is different from the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, it felt like Desmond was way more the facilitator. They had Desmond coming over on a curl every so often and be the one to kind of be surveying the scene and trying to get Paolo the ball. And I see that Paolo has begrudgingly probably ended up being the facilitator again for this team, especially with Franz not on the court. So Paolo is taking that on. He's also taking on the challenge of defending the other team's best players, because a lot of the guys on that West Coast trip, the best players on the team were forwards or bigger forwards like Kawhi Leonard. So Paolo guarded Kawhi. Kawhi was 3 of 8 against Paolo, so Paolo did a pretty good job. He's taking that responsibility. We can see it. You also see it in the Laker game as well. So that at least is a good thing that you see Paolo is locked in that way. He's again locked in because he's having to be the facilitator. So I don't feel like we see the mopey Paolo that we might have seen at different points of the season so far. He is locked in. Now, if it's not always going super well, as we see again, 6 of 10, a lot of missed layups. And that's the thing that's really frustrating for a lot of us. And it's just kind of the way it is this season. He's just not having a great season. And hopefully he comes back next season with a much better array of movement. He's able to maybe elevate a bit more, because I think that's what's been happening a lot of the times. He's keeping things a bit, it feels like he's short even on his layups. Of course, his jump shot a lot of the time has been short this whole season. So maybe he's been nursing this nagging injury all year, didn't want to talk about it, and it is what it is. Maybe that's what it is. But all I know is that Paolo has been locked in. So 16, 7, and 8, that's pretty good. Obviously, Desmond has been the finisher, right? So the facilitator has been Paolo. Desmond has been the one to finish a lot of the offense. And you see there, all 5 starters, bing, bang, boom, were able to score. Now, we only scored 111 points. Again, that's not that much, right? And we can see it's mostly because of the bench scoring. Now, because we have AB and Tristan both starting, then that's obviously going to take away, is going to suck some points off of the bench. But our deep bench guys that were playing earlier, are not playing as often, right? So Noah, who was playing earlier, and Jase, who was playing a lot more. Jase did play here, as you see, just under 10 minutes there. 2 of 3 from the field, 2 assists, no turnovers for his 4 points. Jase and Noah have just kind of started to fade away from the rotation. So we see Jett out there a lot more and J.I. out there a lot more. So those, for me, that's not how I would necessarily do the rotation, especially with at least with J.I. Jett, I don't mind, because Jett, again, there is the philosophy of him being able to shoot threes. Unfortunately, he is just stone cold right now, and it stinks, because if you heard my other videos, I talked about how Jett just needs to have a defined role. And even though it's really late in the season that it's finally being defined, he's been the first one to come off the bench in a lot of the games recently, and he is just stone cold right now. 0 for 4 for this game, 0 for 4 from the 3-point range, 2 free throws he made, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So again, he's trying to participate in the offense, and he's doing an okay job defensively. It's just not going well offensively. So it really stinks, because I think he could be someone that could come off the bench, and we've seen it at different points this season when he can just get hot and score a bunch of points. We need that a lot of the time. In this game, Javon Carter really didn't do too much either. Mo with 9 points in 11 minutes, less than 11 minutes. So, he's going to be a point per minute type of guy. So Mo is going to get you that. So, but as you see, what is it? 2, 5, 11, 20 points from the bench on this one. We're going to be losing ground bench points wise the rest of the season if we're going to continue to be unhealthy, or if we're going to continue to be injured. And that's what stinks really right now. But let's go from that was that game. So in this one here, we have a big game now. This one was a prime game. Everything was it was a lot of excitement for this one. So Paolo came out in this one. Paolo had 36 with 10 rebounds, still 6 assists. Desmond with 22 in this one with 6 assists. So it kind of felt like in these 4 games, the 4 sample size that I'm talking about, the 2 LA games, the Houston game, and the Detroit game, most of the time Paolo has been the facilitator, but in this one it didn't go that way. Paolo 12 of 22 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 10 of 11 from the free throw line. He's been definitely getting to the free throw line as of late. 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 turnovers. So again, like I talked about, led the team in turnovers in this one. We're going to see the Detroit numbers. Not going to be real nice to him, but still 36 points for Paolo in that one. So it's a marquee game. So I don't know if, again, that's just kind of the way it is with Paolo, as we know how he performs in the playoffs, that the lights shine brighter because we're playing against LA, and all of a sudden he's scoring 36 points in this one. So again, as we see Wendell 20 and 11 in this one. So great performance again from Wendell. So we needed a little bit of everything from this one, because also, again, we were on defense when the ball was in the air for the other team to possibly steal the game. And luckily, they both missed, and we were able to take home that victory there. But Desmond in this one, 22 points, 9 of 19 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So he had a good one there. Only 1 rebound. He hasn't really rebounded this year as he did much of last year. Still 6 assists. So he tied Paolo in the assist column. So we're going to start seeing a lot more focus on Desmond, I feel. And we saw it in Detroit, that people are realizing that, okay, if AB is going to continue to struggle as he has the couple games here, like, okay, if AB is going to be struggling and there's no Franz, there's no Jalen, then Paolo, we can either just sag off him, kind of be in the area and not do a full double team, and just kind of dig at times when he's going to do his crossover and his spin move. Then we can just dig there. With all of that, people are realizing that, okay, well, that's going to leave Desmond open. So we have Desmond now that has been getting I would say the lion's share of attention now when it's not Paolo, especially with AB not really performing all that well. Now, Tristan has been very opportunistic. He had 13 points in this one. He had 13 points in the last one. So when Tristan has been out there, he's playing much better, which is great, because we need Tristan to be able to hit a few threes in this one. 3 of 5 from 3-point range for Tristan. So this one was a different game. So again, Paolo was playing against Luka in this one. So it was another interesting challenge for Paolo, because if it's not, there have been a lot of discussions, and I would say rightfully so, that Paolo hasn't always been locked in necessarily on defense. That was something that, even if you watch the video about the NBA 2K that I talked about, that they had there, that Paolo, it wasn't the guy really to be focused on defense. And if I were him, I'd be pretty upset by something like that. That's how they saw me, especially these guys who put together video games. I think that would have been something that I would have been a bit more frustrated with. But there have been times that we see that that's absolutely the case. Unfortunately, that Paolo isn't always the most locked in. Now he's had an okay season with stocks, let's say. So it's not that he hasn't been participating, but far too often on rotations, he's not running as hard as he can or staying as close to his defender. Now, with these two teams, with Kawhi playing against Kawhi versus the Clippers and Luka against the Lakers, in both games, Paolo, they were 3 of 8 in those games, both of them. So 37, if you round up, 38% for Paolo defending Kawhi and Luka. So again, taking on that challenge of making sure that he's the one that's guarding them, because we know Paolo can do it, right? It's just a matter of want to. And now with him facilitating and him being he's not even being the hub of the offense, but with him having to be still so present on the offensive end, I really feel that it's starting to affect his defense in a lot of little ways. But this one didn't hurt his offense. 36 points in this one. So again, the Magic were able to eke out this one with Reeves playing, LeBron playing, and Luka playing. So all that I think is really good. No Jalen, no Franz, and they were able to, and AB not playing well, they were able to really lock in thanks to Paolo in this one, because you see only 4 guys were in double figures. So those few guys really needed to step up. So to look real quick, Jett 1 of 5 in this one, 0 of 3, so it was 0 of 7 in those 2 games against LA. 4 rebounds, 1 assist. So again, he's really trying to participate and at least reward getting some playing time. And again, I truly believe that if next year when we see Jett playing, if he gets a real opportunity, if I were him, I'd go to a team that's not going to play well, so that I could really help my stock and hopefully get it to rise, so that I eventually can get to get more playing time on a team that will be more competitive, let's say. But the only other one really we see is Mo with the four points in 10 minutes here. So he didn't play all that well, unfortunately. Jase only 5 minutes, no points, no shots, nothing, not even a foul. Nothing. So I think it might be our rookies are just hitting that rookie wall, and that's what's happening. They're just not able to muster much. Now they're also not getting the opportunity that they had been getting at different points. So again, the rotations, I think, haven't been super clear throughout the year, and it's just it's still starting to affect some of the guys here. So the next game is the Rockets game, like I talked about. So I've already talked about the Rockets game, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But again, I'd say we went back to the facilitator role for Paolo. And this one, 6 of 16. Doesn't that sound pretty familiar to the Clipper game there? 19 points for him in this one, 19, 8, and 9. So again, he's stuffing the stat sheet: 1 steal, 1 block, even an offensive rebound, which he doesn't do all that well. So Paolo is really present in these games. Now, Desmond was the finisher, let's say, in this one, with 30 points, 12 of 19 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3. 6 of 10. How beautiful does that sound? For me, the 6 is great, but the 10, I've been saying since day one, he needs to be hunting his threes more. And in this game, this was perfect. Now, he came out on fire, but he's been on fire basically since the new year, really. He's been shooting 40+%, and in February, he was basically over 50% from 3. So he needs to be hunting that a little bit more. In the end, 6 of 10, 6 rebounds. So this one, like I mentioned before, this is more what he was doing last year, 6 rebounds. And we had no guys in double figures rebounding. So that, again, shows you a lot, unfortunately, even though a lot of guys had 6 rebounds. Even Jett had 6 rebounds in this one. But Desmond with four assists, only 1 turnover. Paolo with no turnovers. So I know I said that he's been turning the ball over this week. Well, we'll wait for one more game, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But again, AB not playing well in this one. So maybe him missing the next game with the quad injury, maybe that's what was happening in these last few games, and he was trying to tough it out. I know there's been a couple times where he's been a bit gimpy at times, and maybe that's what's going, but he did not perform that well in either one of these games, AB. So only 8 points for him. Tristan also was 2 of 8 in this one, 2 of 5 from 3 for 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. So whenever we get stuff from Tristan, that's always going to be a plus. When he's starting, we need it. When he's off the bench, we probably need it even more. But it's always a good thing, especially with the way he's played a lot of this season. He hasn't really been as present as we had hoped, and that was my word for him at the beginning of the season. I wanted him to be present, and to be fair to him, he's been more present. He's been present more times than he hasn't this year. Not like last year. I felt it was inverse, where most of the time he wasn't as present in these games as he has been this year. So at least that's growth in year 2. So that's really good that we're seeing that from Tristan, and hopefully with a full off season of rest without any obligations to the German national team, maybe he'll be able to come back next year and give it even more presence, and even give even more assertion to the team, because we're going to need it. We're going to be really expensive, and we're going to need all of our guys, especially the ones in the rookie contracts, to really overperform even that little bit of money that they're being paid. little bit. Obviously, I mean a little bit in the terms of NBA. For us, we'd love to have $4 million, $5 million that these guys are getting paid. Wendell again scored double figures in this one, so 16 points, 6 rebounds. Again, though, this is I think the part. So I talked about the facilitator role that Paolo has taken on a little bit more the last few games. The finishing with Desmond. Desmond now is the one that's finishing a lot of the possessions. What I feel, and I know he had pretty big games against the two LA teams, but both of them really didn't have centers. Now, when we come back to this game where there's Şengün and also Durant, who's also very long, and we see in the Detroit game, I'll talk about it a little bit more there. We see that that's where Wendell really starts to struggle a bit, and I think that's because he's not a center. Like, I know he's played center for us for a few years now, but that's not really his natural role. I feel he'd be a great power forward, and we'd be an A+ our power forward off the bench. But I really think that Wendell would be better served to be in the power forward role. So it's something hopefully the Magic look to address this off season. Jalen, yeah, if you watched my video on the Houston game, Jalen unfortunately lost us this game. Jalen played really poorly in such a small stretch of the game. So I know it's a 48-minute game, and really a two-minute stretch shouldn't affect the 48 minutes, but it did. Like, there's nothing we can say. The Magic fought throughout the rest of the game, but they were up by 19 at one point in that with like 5:04 left in the third, and they gave it all away really in 2 minutes. So that was unfortunately a lot of Jalen's doing in this one. That puppy energy just wasn't focused in where it needed to be, and it just went everywhere, unfortunately. So, but to give Jevon Carter some flowers in this one, 5 of 10, 4 of 9 from 3. He's giving us a lot of the things that we were hoping that Tyus would have, and that's been great. 2 turnovers, 3 assists, not exactly what Tyus would have done, but we need the scoring right now off the bench desperately with AB and Tristan starting. So that was that game. Now to finish off for the Piston game here, we can see that in the Pistons game, the Magic really were playing pretty well. Like, throughout much of the game, the Magic played well. It just especially during the first half, especially once Detroit, it was Mosley mentioned that the Detroit increased their intensity, let's say, or increased their force and their effort. I don't know. Like, I feel like the effort was always there. It just maybe it broke us in the end. Like, I don't know. That feels like a harsh thing to say necessarily, but I think that's what happened in the end. It was just too much after a while. They continued to want to wear on us. And with us, like, they're missing what, beef stew. That's pretty much the person that they were missing on the team. And we had Jalen start in this one. And Jalen, as you see, was the only starter with a positive plus minus 27 minutes, which is actually much more than I expected he was going to play. 4 of 17 from the field, 4 of 13 from 3. So I like the 13. I do, because we do need guys to shoot those threes. But all right, like, we can't shoot. If you're hot, of course, you shoot 13. But if you get up to 8, 9, that's really a good sweet spot, especially if he's set. Catch and shoot is where he needs to get the ball. He needs to shoot the 3. Far too often, he's just dribbling up and then shoot, or maybe there's only one pass and he shoots. It's too fast. I know we're supposed to be wanting to play fast, but our defense is playing a lot better, and it's back, not all the way to what it was last year, but we're really starting to play well defensively. So we need to cherish each one of our possessions offensively, because we know what it takes defensively to really stop a team. And if we're not able to score and we're just up 18 on the shot clock and launching a 3, then now we have to play 24 seconds of defense. And a lot of the times, if we're not able to get that stop, which in the second half, I feel is where Jalen was really starting to launch more often. And it just, once those weren't going in, and then Detroit would just come in and do a good job of milking the clock and just really forcing their way into the paint and scoring from there, the easy 2, then that starts to get demoralizing, because really we found our match in a team that can't shoot threes. Huh? Like, they shot worse than we normally shoot, let's say. So this wasn't an excuse of, oh, we just got outshot. In this one, we didn't get outshot. We got beat up on the inside. And this is where I would say Wendell really should not be starting at center. And I've really tried to not say that, because he's going to be the starter and it is what it is. But for me, I would start Goga. I've mentioned it before. So if this is your first time, go back into my archives. I talk about it a lot, partially for the size. Like, Wendell, yes, he can switch off on guys, and he's not gonna be able to slow down Maxey or any of the really fast guards, but yes, he can guard the slower number ones, and he can guard one, at least definitely 2 through 5. Great. That's wonderful. That's awesome. We need that defensively. That's excellent. He's not really typically going to be blocking a lot of shots. He is a deterrent at the rim, but he had 9 rebounds. So I'm not going to say like he didn't do anything in this game, but Duren was just eating him up. Like, that is just the way it was. Like, there is nothing that can be said any other way. And if it wasn't Duren, it was Paul Reed. Or if it wasn't Paul Reed, it felt like it was Thompson flying in for these random offensive rebounds. So we ended up with 9 offensive rebounds. They ended up with 14 offensive rebounds. Who got theirs? Paul Reed had 3 and Duren had 3, and there you go, Thompson. So basically exactly as I said, that's what was happening in this game. And it's not his fault. Like that's, I think, something that I feel people just want to crap on him a lot of the times. Like, if it's him, that he's a bum and he can't play and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, he's just in a spot he really shouldn't be in. Like, he was at power forward. Oh, we draft Paolo. Now he's a center, and now he's just been our starting center kind of by default, unfortunately. And that's just not where he should be. He should be a power forward. That's just what it is. So that's why I say I would start Goga. Yes, that changes our defense in some ways. In some ways it makes it better. In some ways it makes it worse, but that's just the give and take. Normally, Wendell has been scoring about 11 points per game. I think that's his average for the season. So fair enough. Goga's likely not going to get that. Is likely not going to get that for you, but that's not his game, right? And neither is that Wendell's game necessarily. But Wendell, to be fair, like Goga, is an emotional being. But so for me, I would rather have maybe Wendell come off the bench as a center if Goga gets into foul trouble. But I would start Goga. Goga's better with the putbacks. Goga's better at rebounding. Goga's better at blocking shots. Like, there's so many things that Goga can do positively, and he's not going to be one to try to score the ball. So that does free things up for Paolo, for Desmond, for Franz, for Jalen. It does free things up because you're not having to feed a guy. And he's one that's going to be able to get putbacks and get dunks and be able to offensive rebound. He's like, there's so many positives that come from Goga. Now, again, I'm not saying that's the magic elixir to everything, but I really feel that Goga, if we were to insert Goga into the starting lineup, it would then take JI out of the rotation, which there's a couple things. I'll talk about one of the JI things here coming up, but really it would then put Wendell, that he would be able to help with Mo. He'd be the backup power, play with Mo to kind of protect him a little bit. He can still be out there to shoot threes. His 3 has fallen off a cliff, so I don't know if it's ever going to come back this season, unfortunately, but if not, then he can be the one on the inside, and Mo can be the one on the outside shooting 3s. Either way, I think that would really help the geometry of the court for the team. I don't know. This one, nobody really went off. We have Desmond, only 5 of 14 in this one, 1 of 3 from 3. So this is what I mean. Jalen coming in and just launching away doesn't feel like it's getting other guys getting other guys involved necessarily. And this is where Jalen, when he was facilitating, because a few games back or before he got injured, he really did a good job. He had 10 assists in one game. He had another 7 or 8. Like, he was really doing a good job of facilitating. But in this one, for some reason, he was just launching 17 shots. He's had the most shots on the team. Paolo only has 10 in this one, but that's because he lived on the free throw line. That's how he got to his 24 points. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 11 rebounds, 2 assists only. It was Desmond. So again, we got inverted a little bit, with Paolo being, let's say, the finisher and Desmond being the facilitator. But realistically, with the 14 shots that Desmond took, he really was the one that was still facilitating a lot more than Paolo had in the other games in which Paolo wasn't facilitating as much. So I think that was the interesting thing of this game. I would have loved for Jalen to be much more of a facilitator in this one. Now that Jalen is back, Paolo doesn't have to be the facilitator. He can be in the block. He can be in the short elbow if that's where he wants to be. Wherever he wants to be, I think that would be better for the team than having him be just at the top of the key, surveying the scene, and having to be the one to play against. You know, they had good. This is a good defensive team. So 9 turnovers is a lot. It's a lot. But it's to a good team at least. It wasn't like he was throwing it all over the place. It was him being picked. And that's going to be the thing that hopefully he works on this summer. It's really him, and God flies to Seattle if he needs to. I would rather have, or wherever God is, or wherever Paolo is, God needs to go. Either way, they need to be together and just sit and be in the lab and work on his handles, because that is something that he's too often getting picked clean, and that's why he leads the team in turnovers. And it's not only because, yes, he gets the grenades and he's being asked to do so much. This year he wasn't asked to do as much as he has in years past, and he's not getting any better when it comes to his ball handling and his turnovers. It's his decision making, I feel, actually has gotten a little bit better. It doesn't necessarily, you can't see it, but I think his decision making has been better in this one. So in this season, this game, not so much. Desmond only gets 3 3-point shots. That's because they were focusing on him. They were focusing all their attention on him, and that's why Desmond did a good job and got his teammates involved. That's why he has his 7 assists there. But we'll see if other teams have the ability to slow down Desmond this way, because Desmond has been on fire and he can continue to play well. And if he continues to play well and the team is able to start to rise a little bit in the standings, then he's definitely going to be in conversations, at least conversations for the All-NBA, because 50, 40, 90 is not something that happens very often. And anybody who scored over 20 points and finished the season 50, 40, 90, every time they've made it. And if they've had enough qualifying games, they've made an All-NBA team. So let's hope that that's something that will continue and Desmond gets rewarded for having such a great year in this one. As you see, nobody off the bench. Scored, our boy Mo 9 points in 12 minutes. But other than that, nothing going on offensively. So again, I would bring Goga off the bench. I would have him start, have Wendell be the backup 2. J.I., who had 3 points in this one, 1 of 1 from the field, 8 minutes. I don't know if there's a minutes clause or a minutes limit in his contract for his guaranteed next year, but we're using JI in these small increments, 8 minutes here. There've been a couple games he's played 3 minutes, he's played 5 minutes, and even in garbage time, if he makes 52 games, if he plays 52 games in a season, then we know that he's going to end up costing the Magic more money next year. So that, I think, is another reason. That's another reason why we should have Goga start, Wendell come off the bench as the power forward, and then get not play JI, because if he plays a couple more games, then his contract is going to be fully guaranteed next year at $14.5 million. And he's averaging less than 3 points, less than 3 assists, or rebounds, less than an assist a game. Like you can't pay a guy $14.5 million, that is his output is that little, especially when even in this game, no blocks, no steals, no assists, 1 rebound in 8 minutes. Again, Goga would do much better than that. Wendell coming off the bench, I think, would be best for everyone, and it should lock everybody into place. That's what I would do if I was the person running this team, but obviously I'm not. And at the end of this game, there was a little back and forth with Paolo and no, not necessarily a back and forth. Now I'm talking too much. Like if it was something super duper, combative, they weren't combating each other in any way. But Paolo was saying that at halftime, the adjustments are made normally, and they didn't make any adjustments. And Mosley was saying that there were adjustments made at the half. So you tell me who's right, who's wrong. As we can see, that we don't come out in the third quarter a lot of the times and play well. So again, even if that is just an adjustment, as Mosley said today in the press conference that he had, was that, okay, like, yeah, well, the adjustment was that they played harder. That's not really an adjustment. Like, I think he's playing around with the term adjustment. That's just them playing harder, which is the issue on why we're not winning. We're not winning because we're not playing hard enough. It's just as simple as that. There's so many games that we've lost by a few possessions here and there, and we're in the 7th seed right now. We're not even in the top 6 seed, and we are really going to be up against it next year. So we can always hope and pray for injuries and all of that, but this team is injured. These guys have been injured. We can't expect that next year we're not going to be injured. So we really have to be building a foundation here, building a foundation of excellence, being the ones to hit first. And right now we're just getting hit, and we don't know how to stop it. We got no way to block it. And that's what's really been frustrating for a lot of the fans this year. And it's just kind of the way it has been, and the way it's I don't know, feels like it's gonna be always. And that's kind of just, I think, where a lot of us are at, unfortunately. So that was last week. Let's move on. 2-2 in that week. I'd say the two best players, really, of course, were Desmond and Paolo in that past week. Desmond averaged 26 points in those 4 games. 26 points, averaging 55. Not averaging. He had 55. He shot 55% from the field, 48% from 3, 74% from the free throw line. 4 rebounds, 5-ish assists for Desmond. Paolo, 24 points in those 4 games, averaging 24 points in those 4 games, shooting 45%, 23% from 3, 81% from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 4 turnovers per game for those 2 guys. Now, for the games coming up, good opportunity to again maybe have a 3-1 stretch before we talk again, doing a weekly recap next week. A game against a game against Washington today, March 3rd, March 5th, another game at home against Dallas. Then we go to Minnesota and play against Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves there, and we go against the Milwaukee Bucks on the 8th of March. Now, we play really well in Minnesota, so that's something that we'll see if they're going to be healthy, because they've been having some guys in and out a bit. Washington, well, actually, let's start off. Washington, we can't just assume we're going to win against Washington. We've lost to Washington already. That's something that we can't just assume that we're going to be playing against Washington and be like, oh, that's a W. Like, we need to play with the requisite energy every single game. I worry about every one of these games for the rest of the season, to be honest, because we've shown that no matter, again, we can play against anyone and we cannot have the energy that we need to have, and we can lose. So we play Washington twice in the next 10 days. So hopefully there'll be 2 wins, but there's no guarantees there. Especially Trae Young is supposed to be coming back soon, so he might be in both of those games, and Not saying he's Jordan or anything like that or LeBron, but we've seen him have big games and he might be wanting to ball out for his new club. So we'll see on that. Then we play against Dallas. Dallas is a team that is rebuilding, of course. They got rid of AD. They've got Middleton is going to stay there for the rest of the year. So we'll see what they have. Cooper Flag has played super well. They're probably not going to want to win too many more games. So I'll take the tank win. I don't care. We need to be winning these games. The Sixers have a couple difficult games coming up. So if we win these 2 games, then we'll be able to come up. We need to be better than the Sixers at the end of the year because we lost the tiebreaker to them. So we need to be above them. And right now we're a couple games behind them. No bueno. Then we've played really well in Minnesota the last few seasons. So I think we lost last year, unfortunately, but the years before that, if Jalen is playing, Jalen hasn't lost in Minnesota since he was in high school, or maybe never. There's something crazy like that. So maybe Jalen's going to play in that one, and hopefully he can bring some of that good juju for us. It's a Prime game on Amazon Prime, so maybe the Magic can get some positive momentum in some of these showcase games, which they have played relatively well in the showcase games this year. So we can't talk too poorly, but not so well on the road. So hopefully they get a good one there. And then we play against Milwaukee at Milwaukee. That's another one that they're not a tanking team, of course. We know that they want to continue to keep Giannis happy, but we are a better team. We are a better team. We are a better team. We should be able to play a much better game against them and be able to take that one. So I'm not going to say which games we're going to win. We should be able to compete in each one of these games, even against Minnesota. The Magic are a good team when we put in the requisite attention to detail, as well as the effort defensively and just the focus on the offensive end. We've played really well defensively so far since the All-Star break. So that's going to keep us in games. We just hope that our bench, our deep bench, are going to be able to give us something, because our offense, our starters are going to give us a good amount. Obviously, we have enough talent on the offensive end with our starters. Now AB's out again, so we'll see. Now we have AB missing and Franz. We'll see if Jalen is able to stay upright and help out, but he needs to be more of a facilitator. I say bring Goga off the bench. We have the facilitator, Jalen. We have we have Paolo, and we have Des that are going to be the ones to just finish the plays and get all the points. Goga, the rebounds, play defense. Then kumbaya, everything is good, and we're going to be winning games. And hopefully we can be at least in the top 6, so we don't have to go through the play-in tournament again. And we'll see how it goes. So that's the week ahead. We will see how everything goes, and if we're able to start to build a little bit more momentum, because the Magic, by the end of last season, they played well enough to have a little bit of momentum, and that's why they played so well in the play-in game against Atlanta to get that 7th seed. And we played good defense versus Boston in that first round last year. But the Magic can't be losing in the first round again this year. They might, but they shouldn't. And then obviously they should be trying to get at least to the second round. But with the amount this team costs, we should be already making conference finals. So we'll see how all that goes. Hopefully this upcoming week, we start to build that momentum. And when I talk to you in this space next Tuesday, then we'll be talking positive and saying, oh, what a great week we had. We were 4-0, 3-1. We're not 2-2. Hopefully we're not 2-2 again, because that's just been the season that we've had, unfortunately. But that's what we have coming up on tap, and that's what we've seen in the last week. So again, drop the comment below on how you felt we have played so far. Well, I can tell you how I feel that we've played so far, but you tell me, what do you think about Goga starting, and what do you think about Dez's hot streak? Should he be in conversation for for the All-NBA third team at least? You let me know in the comments below. Like, share, do all the normal YouTube things. And if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. And again, if you rather just listen to the audio, then check out your local audio podcast site. And I'm going to be there as well. So you can listen to my voice talking about the Magic, even when you're at work or doing whatever you're doing. Maybe you're at the gym. So again, I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. I hope you're having a great day.